Okay, I'm gonna say something I didn't think I'd say a few weeks ago. Sony's Xperia 1 Mark 8 redesign, it might actually be good. New CAD-based renders just dropped from On Leaks and My Mobiles, and they fixed basically everything that looked wrong in those earlier leaks. The square camera module, it actually connects properly now. The design, it flows. So let's talk about what Sony is doing here, because this might be the refresh the Xperia line actually needed. The Xperia 1 Mark 8 is all but confirmed to get a major redesign, and we've already seen it in several leaks. But these new CAD renders reveal some important details that make the design look significantly better. According to the latest images, the new square-shaped camera module actually connects with the frame of the device with a nice-looking slope. That was the problem with the earlier leaks. The camera island just looked randomly slapped on. This is intentional. It flows. Now, the new camera island is much taller than the vertical bump on the Xperia 1 Mark 7. It measures 2.79 millimeters compared to 1.1 millimeters on last year's model. So yeah, it protrudes more, but given the camera upgrades Sony is planning, that makes sense. Sony is not expected to introduce major changes to the overall size of the Xperia 1 Mark 8. The new phone's dimensions are 161.9 millimeters by 74.4 millimeters by 8.58 millimeters. The previous model measured 162 millimeters by 74 millimeters by 8.2 millimeters. So the most significant change is that the phone will be slightly thicker, though the difference is unlikely to be very noticeable. What remains unchanged is the display size, which will stay 6.5 inches. Let's talk about the front, because one of the most discussed potential changes was the inclusion of a punch-hole front camera. However, the CAD data includes the same bezels as the previous model, meaning there's no change in that regard on the Xperia 1 Mark 8. Alongside the front-facing camera in the upper bezel, the phone will also retain the front-facing stereo speakers. The bezels will be symmetrical on the top and the bottom, with thinner bezels on the sides of the display. So if you were hoping Sony would ditch the bezels and go all-screen, that's not happening. Under the hood, while no official specs have been confirmed, it would be a surprise if the device didn't feature a Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 chipset. Expected RAM is 12 gigs, with storage options at 256 gigs or 512 gigs of UFS 4.0. Battery is estimated at 5,000 mAh. The camera system is expected to be triple 48-megapixel rear cameras with rumors of larger upgraded telephoto sensors. Display will likely be a 6.5-inch flat 120Hz OLED, and yes, Sony is keeping the 3.5mm headphone jack that's been confirmed in leaks. One thing to note, the overall design and size comes in at approximately 11.37 millimeters when you include the camera bump, so it's thicker than its predecessor when you account for that protruding camera module. There's no official word on the potential premiere of the Xperia 1 Mark 8, but it's probably happening very soon. Last year, Sony announced the Xperia 1 Mark 7 in mid-May and launched it in early June. We've already seen signs that the schedule will remain unchanged in 2026. Look, these new images look like an evolution of the design ideas Sony has been following for years, and honestly, that's a relief after those horrendous earlier leaks. The camera island connects properly, the proportions make sense, and it feels like a proper refresh rather than a design crisis. Sony is keeping what works, the headphone jack, the stereo speakers, the symmetrical bezels, while updating the parts that needed it, the camera system, the chipset, the overall aesthetic. I'm actually excited about the Xperia 1 Mark 8 again. Are you buying into Sony's redesign, or are the bezels still a deal breaker? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe for full coverage when Sony makes this official, probably in mid-May. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.